my name is Erica Fiedler. We live in Vero Beach. So I had to drive to Orlando to come and meet Zach and Rick because even though we live 30 minutes away from each other, I messaged them and I'm like, okay, these guys are busy. So, long story short, I also have been interested in real estate for a really long time. Really am not a huge fan of interacting with people who can be difficult. Knew I didn't want to be a real estate agent. Wanted to be a real estate investor, but you have to get there somewhere, and life keeps lifing. So I'm married. My husband has his W-2 job. We're a single-family household at the time. Got 2 boys. My sons are 4.5 and 2. The 4.5-year-old doesn't stop talking. I'm an introverted extrovert, but when someone's talking to me constantly, I'm good. I'm done. So I stay at home with them full time, and Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'm home with them full time, and Christian just doesn't stop talking. So I got into wholesaling. I started learning about it last summer. And to be honest, I avoid big pages because I'm very easily sold on programs and investments and mentorships and whatnot. I see the potential, so I'm very quick to invest. Yeah. So I saw your guys' page and I was like, and then people kept talking about it. Yeah. I was like, all right, we'll see. So I kept listening. I was like, okay. I started with Pace Morby, that group, and started learning and transitioned eventually into Flip Flipper. I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. I was bound and determined to not pay to do it. So that's all you guys teach. Yeah. I worked at the tax collector's office in one of my previous jobs. So I'm familiar with county records. I love public records. I love digging through it because I want to be nosy. I'm very familiar with pulling up the maps and everything else you have to do. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let's see what's going on with all this stuff. And the more that I did it, the more I realized people don't even know what that is. So you guys were talking about government lists and all this type of stuff. I'm like, interesting. This seems to be the thing that we're talking about. So I actually made a decision to try and get the first deal. So I thought to myself, if I can make it happen somehow and just push for a profit, it'll make a difference for us regardless. So I started driving for dollars. I tried. It's not my thing. I'm not trying to drive everywhere. I'd rather be driven. But I tried with targeting particular properties. If it's something that I think I could move forward with, then I'll go and I'll put a thing on board. My husband gets all pretty about that, doesn't like me to do it. I'm not gonna take the boys with me when I go to do that. They're always with me 24/7, 365. So I was like, there's gotta be something different. I decided to check out my neighborhood because I'm only been in Vero Beach for about 2 or 3 years now. So I was like, let me just get familiar with my little neighborhood. It's not HOA, but it's like a row of streets. And I started noticing there's a lot of tenants in there. There's a lot of vacant lots in between. There's actually a lot of builders, small builders coming through Vero Beach that want to build small single-family homes on these 0.2 acre lots. So I said, you know what, let me start looking. I pulled it up on the real estate appraiser's website, the property appraiser's website. There's the GIS map that you're able to pull up in those. And you're able to literally click from parcel to parcel and see the owner information, mailing address, et cetera, et cetera. So you're able to see if you don't have, if it's absentee owner, if it's somebody out of state, if it's a married couple, if it's whatever. So I literally started clicking. I started with True People Search. They're kind of trash. Yeah. Switched to cyber background checks as soon as you talked about it. Literally the video that you did about it, I was like, well, let me check this out. Their stuff was great. Oh yeah. So I prefer to use my phone. It's an iPhone. I tried using Google Voice. It doesn't work for my brain because it seems to come across really weird. I can't seem to figure out how to see, is it a Google Voice lead that I texted? Is it someone normal trying to call me or whatever? So I just use my phone. I'm like, whatever, it'll be fine. So what I like about it is I can pull it up on there and I can text it or I can call it and I can see if it's an iMessage. If it's an iMessage, the likelihood of it being the correct number, or at least being a correct number, so I don't get marked as spam, is high. So I went through my neighborhood. I found a lot literally around the corner from my house, and it's a vacant lot. It was owned by two individuals, a husband and a wife from out of county or out of state, I don't remember. I called her and I asked her using cyber background checks. So at this point, I've not spent any money. I called her and I asked her, I said, hey, are you interested in selling? And I gave her this whole crop. Like, the whole story was ridiculous. But I was like, yeah, like my parents, they live about an hour and a half away, which is true. I would like for them to come up and have a future option for a property. I'd like to buy it for myself or for them or whatever. Would you be interested in selling? She said, actually, yeah, I wanted to get it sold with a realtor planner. I said, excellent. How much are you looking to get for it? Well, she told me I could clear $20,000. I said, okay, cool. So we actually ended up coming to a price point at some point in time. And I looped in a good realtor friend of mine who was welcome. She was okay with like being my guinea pig about the reassignment and whatnot. We figured that part out, but what I loved about it the most was that she had no interest in dealing with it. Her realtor had dropped the ball because of her own life issues. So whenever we came in, we were taking care of it for her. Once I got under contract, I actually had made contact with the immediate next door neighbor, and our lots are so small in our neighborhood that you really don't have the opportunity to expand unless you literally buy the next lot, but they're so small, they're like 0.11. So I reached out to the immediate next door neighbor and I asked her if she was interested in adding on to her own property. And she's like, I would freaking love to. I would love to. How much would you like for it? And I was like, I don't know. So what are you okay with? Like, I was gonna ask a small builder in the area. He was paying he would have paid me like literally $70,000 for that lot.
Wow.
He actually has never performed though, so I'm glad I didn't go with him. So I'm like, okay, if this neighbor can purchase it, I would love for you to have it, even if it comes at a lesser profit for me. I'd love for you to add on to your own backyard. So she ended up paying, I think, $25,000 plus closing costs on her end. Because of the realtor in the middle and all of her necessary forms, the seller actually ended up finding out that I was going to reassign it and that I was going to earn profit in the middle. And she's like, so now at this point, the realtor has become the middleman. And she's like, very diplomatically, like, just letting you know, like, this is the thing, this is what's going to happen. And the seller was kind of peeved about it. And afterwards, she's like, that's a smart girl. So she's gonna earn a profit off of it, even though she's not actually buying it. And she's selling it to the neighbor for more money than what I would have been paid. But her whole thing was she wanted to clear $20,000. So we made sure, even with the realtor commission and my assignment fee, which was like $3,800, we made sure that she earned her $20,000. So when the statements came out for the closing statements, it was like 19 and something. And we told the title company, like my realtor had mentioned it, and I told them again, like adjust it so that the seller gets the $20K that we promised her, because that was what we said we were gonna do. So we did that, we closed, and the title company happened to be a local title company to us, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember. But they ended up, it was a physical check, and I went to go and pick it up. And my husband works, he has some, because of his job, he has some weekdays off. So we're able to go and pick him up. So we were just hanging out with the boys one day and just like getting lunch or whatever. And I asked him, I said, hey, can we just like go to the title office real quick? Can you like, because I need to go pick up this check. And he knew what I was doing. Like, he doesn't really know what I'm doing. So he's like, yeah, we can do that. So we ended up going and getting it. And the check was literally $3,800. And he's like, I'm sorry, what did you do exactly? And I was like, I'm not actually really sure. But this one is in my name. So this one I need to go deposit it. So like, can we go and pick it up? And he's like, yes. In the meantime, and the whole reason why I even wanted to come up here, I'm a stay-at-home mom full time. I wasn't supposed to put my kids in school. That was never the plan. Turns out it sucks. However, I'm still home with them because childcare is too expensive to outsource. They're too young, being 4.5 and 2, to put them in regular school. Daycare is astronomical. We are very barely floating our standard life, just like everybody else. Like, we're very barely making it. So when I started trying to do this here, I was like, we have to make something happen. If I try to go to a W-2 job, I'm going to be paying for, like, I'm losing my time. I'm going to go and pay daycare for 2 kids, which is ridiculous, for like chump change for my W-2 income, and I can't stay home. It was too much. So I said, okay. The other wonderful part of that, the husbands and the men don't really know, the women will. First of all, we don't have wives. Like, we're the ones who typically take, like, there's gonna be one spouse who's taking care of the stuff at the house. Even if it's me calling, and even if my income potential is great, typically, and all love to my husband, he will typically end up, like, we still have to coordinate. Do we have enough toilet paper? Is there dinner made? Do we make dinner? Like, what's up with the kids and all that type of stuff? We still have to fit that stuff in. So when I looked at your stuff, when you were talking about it, I was like, I love that for Zach. That's great. I love that he can sit down and cold call for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. That's not how my life is set up. But the way that my checking and savings account are set up, I can't afford not to do something. So it became frustrating to realize that, but then also you have to make it accommodate to your life. So I said, if I can make this check happen, and I don't actually know how it happened, but we can make it happen. I took the 1 or maybe 2 weeks where I felt really good that month, which again, if you know, you know. You feel really good before you start feeling really bad, because men don't have that struggle. So I was like, okay, if I could take my very partial and, to be honest, half-ass effort, and I managed to get, like, amongst that same contract, I got probably 2 or 3 other contracts within that time frame, with the interruptions, with figuring out home life and everything else. I was like, wow, the potential here. If I had childcare, if I had help, if I had, more support, more family here, because we don't have our family close, the potential for the income is wild. But most importantly was the proof of concept and the fact that, I've been home for like 5 years now with the kids.
Wow.
And that junk is wild. It's crazy, and it's a very real thing of when you're out of the workforce, now you have to learn to do those things again. But mostly, it was the proof of concept. I did it for free. I pay like $20 for Adobe to do the e-signatures.
Wow.
I get phone numbers, so the $20 is a month, so there's that. I get the phone numbers, I'll cyber background checks. Occasionally, I'll use like BIN verified, that's been okay. But it's not very expensive.
Yeah.
And I use my cell phone for my phone calls, my texting. And once I get a hold of everything, then the title company is essentially taking care of everything else. So I can genuinely say I've probably spent like maybe $20 or $50 a month. And each check being small checks, they also added up to about $10,000 from the first like 4 or 5 transactions, which all closed within 4 to 6 weeks of each other.
Woo!
And every last one of those. The way that the contract periods landed, they ended up closing like that probably around anywhere from October to November of last year, so almost exactly a year now. And the majority of them, all of them were vacant residential infill lots. All of them would have been off of public record. 2 of them were tax deed application status, which I love so much in Florida, especially. So they were going to go to auction, and I want to say that like at least 3 or 4 of them I reassigned to the immediate next door neighbor. So all in all, my husband, about a month, I think he brings home like $4,400.
Mm-hmm.
So any one property was more than one of his single paychecks. That's all we needed. Like that's all we really wanted, was to just not be drowning. So we took a big, I say we, I don't know why. It's almost like when you say that we're pregnant. We're not nothing. I'm pregnant. But whatever. This is not we. I've been working on this. And I had a really hard time probably after that last closing in November. But the crazy part is it's almost like a fear of success. because I was like, I did this once. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how to repeat this. I did this and I earned all of this money and my husband has the checks and I did too damn good. So now he's like, say, so you're gonna go like research some properties? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess I will, whatever. So he's like, we could really use this for like our family, you know, to get us forward. And I'm like, yeah, you know. But after those first transactions came through, like I got a couple of checks in the mail while we were on vacation, which I paid for our Airbnb using the check from the other one. Woo. And I came home from vacation and those ones were waiting for me. And then I had to ask him to drive, I asked him to drive me to the title company so we could pick up the other check. And he's like, what is happening? Did I marry a sugar mama? I said, yes, sir. But then we had to repeat that process. And my brain like gave out on me. Pretty like just a huge dip. So my last formal closing was probably in the spring. And since then, it's really been a practice of getting my mindset back right so that I can actually continue to do the work despite the interruptions, because I don't like to sound unprofessional or inept when I'm dealing with a seller. And something about my kids, man, they just know when I'm on the phone. So, but at the end of the day, I was like, dude, one check of $3,000 made a huge difference for us not being in the negative that month. And it also paid for a family trip we haven't taken in forever. And it also was like proof of concept and the confidence and coming out to an event like this. So I wanted to say it because as cliche and as annoying as it sounds, like if there is somebody else who is also at home most of the time dealing with the heir and the spare and their husband or their spouse or their whomever in their life, like you definitely are not alone. And I think it needs to be verbalized as well that like husbands have their role, the men of the home have their role, the young men have their role. Women, we deal with different kinds of baggage, and I think that it's important to point out and to support each other and have the grace that like, yeah, we may not have rock star months, but we also don't have a wife, we are the wife. Like we are the ones that are the primary, you know, parent or spouse at home that takes care of very essential things, because if we didn't take care of that, nothing else would function. But yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's been like $13,000. It's not bad. It's nothing to sneeze at. The next challenge is going to be pushing for that consistency, having those lined up. Like I could go on and on about all the stuff that you guys share and do, like it's craziness, but like every last bit of it, I tell people now if they ever want to figure it out, like you have to listen to what they're saying, because it actually does work. You can do it for free, it's gonna be annoying, but it can be done because I'm doing it. And you don't have to put out earnest money, because I've never paid earnest money, I've never lost earnest money, I've canceled transactions if I have to, but I've never been forced to close on one. I've never had any issues, and I think that it's a big blessing not to have, but like, wholesaling takes work, but it's not hard. And I think that we obviously get on our brains about it. But yeah, that's where I'm here. So
it's amazing. Give her a round of applause. Wow. Shout out to Erica, that's amazing. That's why I try to bring people up. Again, I'm not a woman and I've never claimed to know what it's like, but I can tell you I've helped a lot of, not single mom, but like I've helped a lot of single moms out, single dads, and people in those situations, you know, start getting wholesaling deals, right? And I love, my favorite are stay-at-home moms sometimes, because I always tell them, and I didn't tell you, but I'm like, just don't tell your husband about it. Just like turn into the breadwinner secretly. And then he goes like, some guys are like, oh, I'm the breadwinner. Not, honey, you're doing good. But you know, if they're truly a partner, they're not gonna care, right? But you're in a really good market. There's nothing I can do. I'm not crying. I want to do more deals with you, right? Like this is absolutely amazing. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. And really, like, this is the start of your journey. Here's the secret. Once these kids keep getting older, they're going to be on your hip. But once they're in middle school, they're going to be too cool for you. That's right. And they're like, okay, go to Josie's house. Let me go cold call. But it's amazing. And the big secret, I think, a lot of like, I try to tell women is like, you're way more compassionate than dudes. Because some of those guys are like, what are you doing for the house? Oh, your mom died? That's terrible. What's the price? And, you know, I've had a lot of 18-year-olds that I'm like, okay, like the guy, like that's the guy's mom, you know? And having that sympathy is okay, but, you know, that empathy is really something that I think probably guys need to start doing. But I tell like one of our head of operations is a woman, and she's amazing. She's better than any dude. And so I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. But I think you've inspired so many people of this, and we're ready to do some more. Come on.
Yeah, I know it. I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, I'm ready to. I think it's also a challenge to push for the larger margin, because I really was honestly, I didn't really care. I was okay with flipping it for 2,000 or whatever property, because the 2,000 still made a difference for me. So I was like, okay, let's try 3,000. Now let's try 5,000. And I love that you guys talk about the 10 or 15. That's the next goal of like not selling myself short, that I'm able to pull off earning a $10,000 or $15,000 time. I feel like it's no big deal. It's literally in your head. So if there's anything that I can say, I read the book The Go-Giver by I think it's Bob Berg and John David Mann. And I read the book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Listen, hear me out. Okay, he's obnoxious. I know this. But if you listen to what he's actually saying, I paired the concepts together, and I really feel like we can do that. This community is all about that. Right. The Go-Giver, and you open your mindset to the possibilities. If you 10X what you think you can do, I feel like the possibilities are there. Tax deed application, like I said, I love public records. If you guys ever want to do anything, please let me know. But yeah, like JVing together, let's do it. Like I personally haven't dealt with single family because I don't really prefer dealing with sellers. They kind of aggravate me sometimes, but at the same time, you know, it's a big opportunity. So who's going to say no to a paycheck? That could change my life.
Yeah.
I could use $15K and pay off some credit cards. I know that for sure. So, yeah, that's been a big deal. But again, you guys have your role. Like the men have their role. And my husband is a hard worker. So I want to contribute. Like I want to match him. I want to meet him where he's at. And I think this is going to be the great vessel. But yeah, exactly like you said, I asked him, I said, dude, he's got a laser engraving business, which I love. It's very time consuming. And I said, my dude, if you could help me, if I could use your man brain with my stuff, like we could freaking move mountains. Whenever he starts to see the big assignment fees come up, he'll come on board.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
As long as people as long as people don't pay their taxes, you'll be making money.
Oh my God, that's every day. People get divorced every day. People, unfortunately, they pass away every day. Taxes get backed up every day. And there's always somebody looking to sell. There's always somebody looking to buy. No matter, and like you're not late to the game. So that's what I try to encourage myself with.
The way I look at it is, me and Rick are easily going to clear over 7 figures in Indian River County specifically this year. If you just copy me and just do 10%.
That's it.
That's all. It's all. Just do 10% of what I do in that one county. It's all it takes. It just be like a little mini me, and that's all you need. You got Vera, Sebastian, Mims, like you got Brevard, St. Louis.
And I will say just one last thing. I was super intimidated to get into Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
Same thing. Because I'm like, freaking Zach's over there. I know it. But the thing is, like, we all have our own things that we're working on. You guys are at a totally different level.
Yeah.
Where I could step in and do one single deal, two, three, whatever amount, it doesn't matter. Y'all are at a different level and you can focus on those higher level things. Whereas I can still come in and contribute and help someone here locally to us, even if you have a big hitter in the market.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, like it's fine. So that's why I keep trying not to exclude myself mentally from like, well, like Rick and Zach literally are in my backyard. But that's okay, because if you just cleared 40,000 last month, I'm not exactly sure what I was doing in September, but I sure shit was not doing that.
Nina cleared 30,000 in Vero.
I mean,
so like,
yeah, like let's do it. So like that's what I'm saying is that the proof of concept is there. If you guys can do 40, she did 30. That's 70,000, none of which came to me.
Yeah.
So where's my 70,000?
I'm a little scared.
Yeah,
I'll write a check.
We'll see. We'll work on it. But thank you anyways. I appreciate it.
There we go. Give her a hand. Come on. Love seeing that. So. Proud of you. We'll talk. So, guys, you don't know anyone's story until you actually talk to them, right? And it's, I love, the one thing I tell everyone is like, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, or something like that, right? Which I'm not. It's a lot harder being a mom than it is wholesaling for most people.